Oh my god. Oh. Almost broke my wrist doing that. Okay. We can get ready now. Hi. Shut up. Hi, hello, welcome to my channel. I am Dana May, also known as a Poised Fool. And today in this video I'm going to do a little reading wrap-up of the last 2 months. Currently it's the first day of March, but I decided to put these 2 first months of the year together for actually just one reason. It's because January was certainly a month in which I read a lot. And then came February and I read almost nothing. I think I put myself into a reading slump and that was not great. I try to not beat myself up about it, but still, it still kind of feels bad when one month you had like such a great reading month and then the next one, nothing. I know it's stupid, but still. Right, so let's not beat ourselves up about that. Reading is for fun and we should be doing it for fun. And I did have a lot of fun. Mostly. There was one book in here that I absolutely fucking hated, despised, and I'm gonna tell you all about that. So let's go in order from the first book that I finished in January, the first month of 2026. From the 25th of December last year to the very 1st of January, I read the 4th installment in the Detective Kosuke Kindaichi series, The Inugami Curse by Seishi Yokomizo, written by a Japanese author. They are taking place in Japan. A lot of them take place after the war. The detective Kosuke Kindaichi himself also has been to war, and sometimes these books take place in a time afterwards where he basically just travels around and helps solving murder. The detective is quite very charming. He's always described as like not a scrawny looking man, but kind of just a guy, just a dude. He's always wearing hakama, traditional Japanese male clothing. I think it's just male clothing. He has like a mop of hair that he's always scratching when he gets very excited, especially when they're getting close to finding the murderer and solving the mystery. And all of these books so far have had such an interesting kind of mystery. Now, some of them are by the narrator kind of described as a trope within the mystery crime novel genre. So the first book, for example, The Honjin Murders, is about a closed room murder mystery. So you have a closed off room in which a murder took place and you kind of don't really have a solid explanation for how that could be if it was a closed room, right? Some of the others also have this kind of trope, the big trope that they revolve around. In the Inugami Curse, we are in the 1940s Japan. The Inugami family is like a big, very famous, very wealthy family where the head of the family, the grandfather, has passed away and the rest of the family is eagerly awaiting the read of the will. If you like family drama, this little novel definitely is for you. It's very intricate, very interesting. When I first read it, I was sure this was probably my favorite installment, but actually I think Gokuman Island takes the place. Now I do plan on making a special video for every Kosuke Kindaichi or Seishi Yokomizo murder mystery book in this series with the detective, so I don't want to kind of really speak more on this little one. It's just, I really liked the Inugami Curse. I gave it 5 stars. It was a really great book. It was full of family drama. It took twists and turns, and I might just be a really good murder mystery reader because I can never pinpoint the murderer until the very end of the book where the detective himself has found out. So these books are something for me. Okay, next up. Within the span of just 4 days, probably closer to 3 days if I didn't have to go to work, I began my journey into why I read so goddamn much in January. It's because I fell in love. Deeply, deeply fell in love with a certain series that revolves around a guy named Carl and his ex-girlfriend's Persian cat. God, do I love this series so much. It's Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinnerman. Where do I begin? Honestly, I might just have to stop right here, because if I get more into this, I will be here for 4 hours, and neither you nor me has time for that. So I'm just here to tell you that in January I began reading this really lovely series. For one, I'm a gamer girl, so this series was so up my alley from the very first beginning. I'm a cat lady also. I also like the name Carl. Truly, I cannot put into words just how much I love this stupid series. The first book was such a joy to me. I kind of went nuts and sort of blacked out. And for the rest of January, I read all of the next 3 books. Now, I didn't read them one after the other, but I basically could have done that. So the other books I read in between, but I want to get this out of the way right now, that all of these books are in the wrap-up. All of them. Actually one more, but that's for February. These books I read all in January alone. Truly, what the hell has possessed me? What in the world possessed me? I don't know. I don't know. A guy named Carl and his Persian cat, right? Also, all of the Dungeon Crawler Carl books are 5 stars for me, right? Every single one. Just nuances in better or... No, not worse. Just 0.5 set points for a little better. You know? Now, in case you have never heard about Dungeon Crawler Carl, first of all, where the hell have you been? Living under a rock? Second of all, you need to get your hands onto that book right now. The second and the third and the fourth as well. And there's more coming. Imagine the apocalypse on Earth, right? It's finally time. Everybody is just gone. And the aliens are here, collecting their taxes like it's nobody's business, except it's our business because it's our world. But hey, you're given the chance to go into the dungeon and play your way to the 18th floor. And then, well, you might just have a chance at living again on a livable planet. Small caveat, it's a reality TV show, so people are gonna watch you from all over the universe, and you have to survive. So yeah, stay alive, don't get killed. It's gonna get real bad, but you're like basically a video game character, so that's cool, right? If that kind of intrigues you, yeah, you should read that. Even if you're not a gamer yourself, even if you know basically nothing about video games, you will get this. It's so much fun. I have to stop right now. So I got this out of the way, right? So in between, I read all of these books. Just so you know, I read a lot of them. Next up, we have something that was in everybody's mouths last year in 2025, and I really wanted to know, what was the deal? What's it about? Also, I love weird books, so it's only natural that I read Bunny by Mona Award. This book was in everybody's mouths. Everybody was talking about Bunny. I know the second one has been out for a long time. I have not read the second one yet because I was very satisfied with this book. Also, how the fuck do you describe Bunny? Right, so in case you don't know what Bunny is about, first of all, don't listen to anyone telling you anything about this book. Just read it. Just go right in. I myself, I've seen it plenty of times, and so I just started reading it. Like, maybe an acid trip. I never took drugs, but I think I kind of got it while reading this book. Yeah, I think in some ways it's sort of like taking drugs. Most of the time you don't know what the fuck is going on, but also, what the fuck is going on? You know? Get what I'm saying? It was a lot of fun. This book left me with so many questions, and I love that. To this day, I love theorizing about this book, about what the fuck happened there. And to me, that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. I love theorizing. I love being left in the dark, honestly. It's not like a totally open ending, to be honest. It's just, there are so many things for you to fantasize about. And I love that. If you don't, maybe this isn't for you. Yeah, so then I read the second Dungeon Crawler Coral book, right? Of course. In 2 days, actually. I read that in 2 days. So then in a single day, for a little palate cleanser, I wanted to read a little teeny tiny book, and I thought this might be perfect. Look at that. That's so bite-sized. The Murderbot Diaries. It's the first book, all systems read, by Martha Wells, a science fiction series about a murderbot. It calls itself Murderbot because essentially it is a murderbot. It's a system, it's a robot, sentient robot, who was built to kill, to protect, to kill mostly. But our dear Murderbot has severed the connection, if you so will, to the organization that would have kept his sentience for their own gain. Of course, they don't know that, and it's just doing its own thing, living life as a Murderbot who goes on a mission with some really interesting people, humans, but also it's a Murderbot, so that's its job. But also it would much rather just sit back and watch technically telenovelas, just drama series. Murderbot, I love you. All systems read. It was so good. I had such a great time. It's also, again, it's bite-sized. I read it in like, I think 2 hours or something. It is heavy on the science fiction, I have to say that, for how little it is. If you like science fiction, that's not going to be a problem for you. If you have not the best grip of science fiction, no, you should still read it. Murderbot is really fun. It is such a fun character to be around with, to be in the head of, you know? Ooh, next up is a book I decided to read on a whim, purely because I like the author. It is Bride by Ellie Hazelwood. I read that on my e-reader, so I didn't have the physical copy. My first Ellie Hazelwood was Deep End, and although I am very much asexual and can't really do anything with all the smut in it, I truly enjoyed my first Ellie Hazelwood. And so I didn't really know anything about Bride, to be honest. I just saw people saying that it was great. It was a fantasy from Ellie Hazelwood, who does normally like contemporary romance, I think. And I'm like, yeah, I like fantasy. Also, I like vampires and werewolves. Fuck it, give it a try. So I did. I finished that bitch in 2 days. I had a stupid fun time with that book. You don't understand. You don't understand. It was so good. Why, what the hell? I can't put it into words, just how good that book was for me. It was so much fun. And the premise is very simple. It's a very simple story of vampire and werewolf. We do get so much lore of the world that Ellie Hazelwood created. It's very interesting in my opinion. I love the characters. I read Ellie Hazelwood for her characters. Her characters are everything to me. In books, it's what I enjoy most reading about. It's world building and characters. It's what I love writing about the most, like fleshing out the characters as much as you can. And Bride was just perfect. Now I do gotta say, I have still no clue what exactly a knot is and what happens with knot. Listen, don't care. I don't need to know everything, right? That's out of my zone of comprehension. So I still had fun. That's it. 5 stars. Actually 6 stars. Such a great time. Oh, I gave it 4.75 stars. Why? Why is it not? I don't know. 10 out of 10 experience, honestly. And then, unfucking fortunately, God, I'm getting so mad even thinking about getting to the next book because I fucking hated it so much. And I feel so bad about hating this book, but I simply hated it and I need to talk about it. Look at how beautiful it is. Why did you have to disappoint me so much? Why? I have this like super gorgeous special edition of all of these books. Hold on, look at these. Oh my god. Wow. These are so gorgeous. The colors of them, These two are my favorite. These have like my favorite colors ever. Look at these. However, boy oh boy, was I not having a great time. The first book I really liked. It was cute. It was 3 stars for me. Read it last year. Second book, that's kind of when it let me down. If I'm gonna be very honest with you, I couldn't tell you a single thing that happened in the second book except for our main female character always being the damsel in distress and having to be rescued from everything because that bitch couldn't do anything on her own. I'm so sorry. This could be a me thing. Okay, I acknowledge that because the second book ends with a trope that goes on in the third book, which is A Curse for True Love. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. I marked it. All of this, that's the trope. More than 50% of the entire book is that stupid trope, which I hate. I hate that trope. Again, might be a me thing. You could love it, and then you would love that book. I didn't. Even after that, even beyond that point, I was just left so disappointed. I dreaded reading this book so much. I started it, I wanted to finish the series. I should have DNF'd it. I couldn't. I can't DNF. I know I should have. But first, I needed to get my happily ever after. That's why I read this series, right? So of course I need to get to the end. And even that let me down. It was way too quick. Not satisfying at all. Not to me, at least. Also, where were half of the characters that we got introduced to? They were just gone. Characters that were introduced, 2 major characters that played a big role in the second book, they were just gone from the face of the earth, forgotten. Like, Stephanie Gaba, what the hell? Where were these characters? Oh, I really, really hated our main female character. It's so sad. Because they are so pretty. They are so pretty. Oh, I just hated it. I hated everything about this. I blame this book, A Curse for True Love, for cursing me and putting me into a reading slump. It's your fault. And you know it. Stupid book. Right, so then I read the third Dungeon Crawler Crawl book. Because of course I did. This time it took me 5 days, actually, because a girl has got to go to work. So then I read the fourth Dungeon Crawler Crawl book. What can I say? I love this series. Ooh, and then I read the second Murderbot Diaries book, which is Artificial Condition by Mother Worlds. Can I just say, I liked the second one even better than the first one. And that's because of art. Another, can you say character? Probably, possibly. It's a sentient ship, spaceship. Right? And art is... I love the dynamic between art and Murderbot. These two have such a fun dynamic. The bickering they do, the banter, how Murderbot like slowly warms up to art. That was so much fun to read. God, I love these two and I hope art comes back. I fear it won't. But that was so good. For the teeny tiny book that it is, incredible how it punches. And now we have arrived in February. The first book that I finished in February, reminder, I was in a deep reading slump. This book took me quite a while. I read like half and half in 2 or 3 sittings, kind of. So from the 10th of January to the 13th of February, so it's almost a month, I read Not in Love by Ellie Hazelwood. Would you have guessed it, another Ellie Hazelwood. Again, per recommendation of my best friend, shout out to you, girl, because I told her I read Deep End and Bride and she was like, you have to read Not in Love by Ellie Hazelwood. And I was like, bet, sure. What do I gotta lose? Nothing. Look, the whole sex thing goes out of my window. Don't know anything about that. But the characters are so good. And the other thing that I really loved about this book was the conflict, the big, great conflict. Now, one reason why I personally am not really that into contemporary romance is you can't really have a high stakes conflict. You can, right? For example, this one. I think it's rather difficult to have a great conflict that impacts the characters, especially if you want to have an enemies to lovers. I think contemporary romance just doesn't work for that. You can have something grand and big in fantasy. You can have an entire war, for example. You can have mythical creatures and magic and all of that. That all impacts the characters on a way greater spectrum than real life does. And so I always just think, how can you have a big conflict? And then I read an Ellie Hazelwood smut book, technically, and it feels really grand. It feels actually existential, the conflict that keeps these characters apart from each other. And that is what makes the story so great, because you want to root for them, but you also understand that, well, it's not really great, the position these two are in, right? Or everybody is in that kind of situation. Most of the time, I don't know what's going on. I don't know anything about women in STEM and science and all that kind of jazz, but it's still so much fun. I love Ellie Hazelwood's characters. Rue is so interesting. Right, and then in February, the thing that saved me from a slump, and for now, the last one that I had to keep myself from reading, is this brick of a book. Look at the girth of this thing. Oh my god. It's bigger than my head. And it's also heavier than my head, because there's nothing in there. The Butcher's Masquerade, book 5 in the Dungeon Crawler Call series. Because of course, I promised myself until the next book in the series comes out, which is the 9th book comes out in June of this year. And I have 3 more books to go until that book comes out. And I had to promise myself that until that book comes out, I need to savor everything. And I hope I can do it, because I set myself up to only read 1 Dungeon Crawler Card book a month, right? 3 books, 3 months until the next one comes out. Now, seeing as I read 4 in a single month, I hope I can do it, but I set myself that goal. Although I saw that he has released another. Oh god. It has just got really dark. The sun is gone. Please come back. Oh dear, the sun has come back. Okay, let's hope she stays like this, okay? Alright. It's fine, we're almost through. I have one last book for this video, which I just finished, I think the day before yesterday. Now that I see this, I only read like 3 books in February and 15 in January. Fun! I read my first Sayaka Murata, Earthlings. Now I hear that most people start with Convenience Store Woman, probably because it's her most famous work. And I have not read that yet, but it's definitely on my list after having read Earthlings. Don't know why I read Earthlings first. And I also have not a clue how to pitch this book to you. On one hand, I sort of feel the need to express my thoughts and feelings about this book. But on the other hand, I think you should go in blind. Blind and deaf and without expectations, except for weird. If you like weird books, this is for you. How do you describe Earthlings? First of all, if you do decide to go in blind, check for trigger warnings online. There's some heavy abuse in there, which this book essentially, in my opinion, is about. I sort of got from this the way abuse can be displayed in different kind of ways from different people in your orbit, but also how someone copes with that, involving aliens. And that's all I kind of want to say about that book. On that note, I want to say that I do have a Goodreads, and I oftentimes write quite thorough reviews for the books that I read. Of course, also the star ratings, and I still dislike that we can't put 0.5 stars because fuck Goodreads. But whatever, right? Whatever. If you want to follow me on my Goodreads, you can go into the description box and find my ad. I would tell you right now, but I don't know what it is. Okay, that was everything for this reading wrap-up of the first 2 months of 2026 for me. I hope you enjoyed. I would really love to see you again on my channel for the next video. Whenever that is, whatever that will be. I'm not too sure yet. Possibly a manga review of all the manga that I read. So yeah, hope to see you there. Have a lovely rest of your day. And goodbye.